Glastrier is a Pokemon that is unfortunately never seen competitively. Calyrex Ice definitely in formats that it's allowed in, but Glastrier almost never. In VGC it's used basically never, and in Smogon 6v6 singles, Glastrier has always been at the lowest possible tier PU. The reason is pretty straightforward. Glastrier is a slow Ice-type Pokemon, so it's weak to a lot of types and is going to get outsped most of the time. To add insult to injury, Glastrier was actually overpowered for PU, so it was banned from there. It turns out Glastrier is a bit too much when it's fighting against 5th-rate Pokemon. But it's now in this weird purgatory where it's banned from PU but not good enough to be used in NU. That means there is literally no format where Glastrier is used. Articuno, another bad legendary, is at least a top Pokemon in PU, but Glastrier doesn't have that. It is truly the most forgotten legendary Pokemon competitively. But it's still a legendary. Its stats are amazing. What if I could make it work in the NU tier? Through stats alone, it could bully a tier which regularly features not fully evolved Pokemon. Well, that's the plan anyway. I'm in week 4 of the Smogon Champions League, one of the biggest tournaments on Smogon, where I'm playing in the NU tier, the 4th tier in the competitive Pokemon tiering system. I'm coming off a big win last week where Farigiraf brought my win total to 2-1, and I need to win this week as my team is in the middle of the playoff push. For more information, you can watch my videos from weeks 1 through 3. My team starts off with a Swords Dance Glastrier. You leverage your bulk to try and get off a Swords Dance or a substitute or both to try and snowball into a sweep. But why bother? The reason I bother is because I think I find something unexplored. Terra Ground Glastrier. Ice and ground forms one of the best attacking combinations in the game. Ice beats flying and grass for ground, and ground beats steel and fire for ice. If I build around Glastrier terrestrializing most of the time, I can create an offensive nightmare. I can create a Pokemon with an amazing attacking combination, a not terrible defensive type, and huge stats for an NU context. And if I'm a ground type, then I don't need the item Heavy Duty Boots, and I can go for leftovers to increase my longevity even more. It's a calculated gamble to build around terrestrializing a Pokemon. It's similar to building around a Thunderbolt, Terra Blast Ice Regieleki. The idea is that the high of potentially creating a dominant Pokemon is worth the effort. Then I added my favorite support Pokemon, Healing with Shaman, this time with a Choice Scarf. It's an all-around good Pokemon with high stats and everything, and when the time is right, I can sacrifice itself to heal up Glastrier so it can try and dominate a game for a second time. The rest of my team is solid top Pokemon. Offensively, I paired with Dual Wing Beat Scyther and Fire Blast Salazzle, two fast, strong Pokemon with good type diversity and synergy. Then defensively, I added a special defense EV Copper Raja and a physically defensive Quillfish. Stealth Rock from Copper Raja and Spikes from Quillfish give me the hazards I need to be successful, and overall I have a stout, powerful structure of both offense and defense. The battle starts and my opponent also has Glastrier. Through sheer coincidence, we both arrived at the same idea that Glastrier is underrated and actually good. As I would later find out, funnily enough, they also independently arrived at Terra Ground too. So much for being a forgotten Pokemon. But aside from that, I noticed that he's using a hyper-offensive team with a lead Lycanroc. Lycanroc with Stealth Rock, Taunt, Accelerock, and Endeavor. The goal of Lycanroc is to sacrifice itself to get up Stealth Rock. I play it safe and maneuver past the Lycanroc. He gets what he wants and I get what I want. A 6 versus 5 lead, but they have Stealth Rock up and the momentum. They go to Salazzle and it creates a tense 1v1 situation. But I dodge the first Fire Blast to essentially equalize the situation, and it creates an interesting decision. Salazzle, like most fire-type Pokemon, typically use the item Heavy Duty Boots. But the point of a Lycanroc is that you sacrifice an entire Pokemon to get your own Stealth Rock up, but also keep Stealth Rock off. If you do that, you probably are going to have a more useful item on Salazzle. The context clues tell me that Salazzle probably has a useful item underneath it, like a Salac Berry. I think it will probably be Focus Sash. It could be typically on Hyper Offense, typically Focus Sash or like Endear Salac. So I could knock off. That's obviously a very big dodge, right? Let's just knock off. I don't want to have to deal with maybe like a Salac Berry or anything really. Okay, Nasty Plot. Yeah, Salac Berry, okay. And I'm right. I avoid falling into a disaster where I give up a speed boost and a Nasty Plot to his Salazzle, but I get right back into another interesting decision. It's a true speed tie here between both Salazzle. It's a coin flip between who knocks out who. I can either go for that coin flip, or I can opt out and sacrifice a Pokemon and then come back in with my Choice Scarf Shaman to outspeed and knock out Salazzle. For me, Salazzle is a good Pokemon in the matchup with its high power and typing. But is it really worth sacrificing a completely different Pokemon instead of just going for the coin flip? It's a tough calculation to make, and I decide that a 50% chance to honestly probably win the game on the spot is worth the risk. Do I go for Speed Tie or not? I think I go for Speed Tie. They got it, that's fine. But my greed gets punished and I lose the Speed Tie. There goes my Salazzle. In the next turn, my Shaman revenge kills the Salazzle and they go to Glass Tier. But here I have a trick up my sleeve. I go straight into my Quillfish and seemingly I can't touch Glass Tier. His Glass Tier looks amazing here, for many of the reasons why I like Glass Tier myself. It's tough to KO and it's as strong as a horse. But I take advantage of Glass Tier's one flaw, its speed, and I outspeed it. Then I reveal the move Destiny Bond. Using Destiny Bond, I'm able to take out one of his strongest Pokemon, and it's now 4-3. Coming out of the break, I lead with Scyther because it's strong and has good matchups versus his remaining Pokemon. But he also leads Scyther and it creates another speed tie situation. If I win the speed tie, I probably win the game. With a 4-2 lead, Scyther crashes through the other Pokemon and does too much damage. But if I lose the speed tie, I lose a strong Pokemon and the game becomes very uncomfortable. What I do is I hedge my bets and I terrestrialize my Scyther to Terra Fire. The only reason being that I cannot afford to faint here. Even if I lose the coin flip, I want to be in a good spot. We flip the coin and I lose again, but it's not the end of the world because I terrestrialize and I'm able to knock out his Scyther. Decidueye comes in next and knocks me out with Shadow Sneak and it's 3 versus 2. But it's now time for the Glass Tier show. I think it's Glass Tier time. Do I Swords Dance for the Grimmsnarl or not? I might have to because that bulk up Terra Dark is too much for me. Or is it not that much for me? I think I take my kill. It's tricky, I can Swords Dance here. It's not even a bad play. I don't even know what moveset that Decidueye could be. I think we've gotten ourselves into as good a position as we could get ourselves into. Poltergeist? Okay, nothing. That's nothing. Good. Okay. Terra Dark, I would think Grimmsnarl versus the rest of the squad. They could have Terra Fire. Terra Fire is an idea that's kind of popular in NU. I'm not sure how popular it is, but Terra Dark's definitely mainstream. Here we go. It creates a 3 versus 1. Last year, Shaman and Copper Raja versus Grimmsnarl, but that Grimmsnarl has terrestrialization left and that makes all the difference. Late game Grimmsnarl is usually going to be a bulk up Sucker Punch moveset, but what Terra type could it be? Even though there are many possible types, only a few are realistic. There's Terra Dark for the strong Sucker Punch, there's Terra Fire for the type advantage versus Poison, Fairy, and Steel, or Terra Steel for a similar idea. I have two options. Do I Icicle Crash or do I High Horsepower predicting a terrestrialization weak to ground? There's a lot I don't know, but there's a lot I do know too. All 3 of my Pokemon have a way to hit the Fire or Steel type. I have High Horsepower Glastrier, Earth Power Shaman, and Earthquake Copper Raja. Even if I Icicle Crash into a Terra Steel, Glastrier can live the next hit and use a super effective move next turn. So can all the other Pokemon. I make my decision. Yeah, we Icicle Crash. They are Terra Fire, okay. No! Okay. It's not actually that bad, but it's not that good either. Okay, come on. 68, okay, we're healing. My Glastrier doesn't get the damage I need, and now the Grimmsnarl has doubled its attack and its defense. Without the Icicle Crash damage, Copper Raja's Earthquake won't knock it out anymore, but there's still hope. Shaman has a 50% chance to live Sucker Punch and then knock it out with Earthquake. If that happens, I win the game. This is also a roll to kill, so we are likely to live. Here we go. Oh no, we live that half the time. Okay. And it's almost over. I go to Copper Raja, who lives any attack from Grimmsnarl, but because of the Icicle Crash miss, Grimmsnarl is out of Earthquake range. But yet again, I still have hope. I have one last shot, a critical hit. If my Copper Raja can critical hit the Grimmsnarl, then it all works out in the end. Everything that happened doesn't matter, and I still come out with the win if I just get that one critical hit. One more time. Oh, we missed it. That was rolls at the end there. But I don't get it. Copper Raja faints, and a disaster from a 3v1 Pokemon lead drops me to 2-2 on the season as our team also loses the week 4-6. The playoff hunt continues with 5 weeks left.